What if I told you that the moment you decide you are wealthy, the entire universe must rearrange itself to make it so? If you would only grasp the power that lies within you, you would never look to the outside world for answers again. You have been conditioned to believe that wealth is something external, something that comes from effort, struggle, or luck. But I tell you, all wealth, all abundance, and all success originate from a single source: your imagination. The mind is the master architect of reality, shaping every experience, molding every circumstance, and directing every outcome. You may believe that money comes from business, from investments, from hard work, but these are merely the shadows cast by a far greater cause. Before any wealth is seen, before it appears in form, it exists as an unseen reality, a state of consciousness. And that consciousness is nothing more than an act of imagination. There is nothing in this world that was not first imagined. The home you live in, the clothes you wear, the device in your hand, each of these things was once only a thought in someone's mind. The wealthiest individuals in history were not those who worked the hardest, but those who imagined the boldest. They dared to see what others could not. They held on to an inner vision of abundance, even when the outer world showed them lack. They understood that what is imagined must be made real. You stand at the threshold of a great realization. If you would change your financial reality, you must first change the way you see yourself. Stop looking at your current circumstances as fixed. Stop identifying with struggle, with debt, with limitation. None of these things define you. They are merely reflections of past assumptions, of old imaginations that you unknowingly accepted as truth. If you desire wealth, you must assume the state of wealth in mind first, for the world will always reflect what you believe to be true about yourself. Ask yourself right now, who are you in your imagination? Do you see yourself as a person who struggles with money, who worries about bills, who feels financial pressure? If so, then you will continue to live in that reality, for imagination does not discriminate. It simply fulfills what you persistently assume to be true. But if you would see yourself as already wealthy, if you would occupy the consciousness of a millionaire, feeling it deeply, living in it mentally, then reality must shape itself around that assumption. Many believe they must first have money before they can feel wealthy, but this is the great mistake. The feeling precedes the reality, never the other way around. If you wait for wealth to appear before you feel rich, you will wait forever. You must first claim it in mind, embody it in imagination, and trust that the world will take care of the rest. It is not enough to merely wish for abundance. Wishing implies that you do not yet have, and as long as you feel yourself as one who lacks, lack will persist. Instead, you must assume the state of already being wealthy. Do not ask how it will happen. That is not your concern. The means will be provided in ways you cannot foresee. The only work required of you is to persist in the assumption that you are already that which you seek. You have been given the greatest gift, the ability to create reality through imagination. But for most, this gift has been used unconsciously. They imagine fear, lack, and limitation, and so their world mirrors those beliefs. But now you are called to awaken. You are called to use this power deliberately. Right now, in this very moment, close your eyes and imagine yourself as wealthy. Not in the future, not as something that may happen one day, but as a reality that already exists. Feel the weight of success. See the numbers in your bank account. Hear the words of others congratulating you. Walk as if the world has already bent to your vision. Hold to this state and do not waver. No matter what the outside world shows you, the world does not operate on effort alone. It operates on belief, on assumption, on the unseen power of imagination. The secret to wealth is not in struggle, but in consciousness. Assume the feeling of financial freedom now, and the physical world must conform. You are the creator, the architect of your destiny. And your wealth begins in imagination. If you would understand the greatest secret to wealth, you must first understand that the world you see is not separate from you. It is not something happening to you, nor is it a force beyond your control. The life you experience, the financial conditions you face, and the opportunities or obstacles before you are all reflections of one thing: your assumptions. You do not attract what you want. You do not attract what you wish for, or even what you work for. You attract what you assume to be true. This is the great law upon which everything is built. Every man and woman is surrounded by the evidence of their own consciousness. The rich are not rich because they worked harder. They are rich because at some level they assumed wealth as their natural state. The poor are not poor because of circumstances beyond their control. They remain poor because unknowingly they have accepted lack as their reality. Look at your life, and you will see a perfect reflection of your inner world. If money seems scarce, if financial success feels like a constant struggle, then it is not because of the economy, not because of luck, but because deep down you have assumed that struggle and lack are normal. But what if you change that assumption? What if, instead of believing in difficulty, you assumed wealth to be inevitable? What if you accepted financial abundance as already yours, even before it appears? This is the key. The law of assumption states that whatever you persistently assume to be true will harden into fact. It does not matter whether the assumption seems logical or whether the world currently shows you evidence of its truth. Reality must conform to your dominant assumptions. If you would assume yourself to be a millionaire, not just for a fleeting moment, but as a deep, unshakable truth, the world would have no choice but to make it so. You have been taught to believe that circumstances dictate what you can and cannot achieve. But this is the greatest deception. Circumstances are nothing more than the outpicturing of past assumptions. If you would change your assumption today, your circumstances would shift to reflect it. But most people do the opposite. They look at their present financial situation, they accept it as fixed, and by doing so, they unknowingly assume it will continue. They react to the world rather than creating from within. If you wish to be wealthy, you must assume wealth now. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. You must think from the place of already being financially free. Do not wish for success, live in it. Do not hope for money, assume you already have it. Speak as though wealth is already yours. Walk as though you possess unlimited financial freedom. Make your decisions as one who has already attained abundance. This is not about daydreaming. It is not about empty affirmations or forced positivity. It is about embodying the state of wealth so deeply that the world cannot help but reflect it back to you. The law of assumption does not require force, effort, or struggle. It requires faith in the unseen. It requires persistence even when the outer world appears unchanged. The seed does not sprout the moment it is planted, but the one who trusts in the process does not doubt its growth. Many will hear these words and dismiss them. They will say, "I will believe it when I see it," but they have it backward. You will see it only when you first believe it. The unseen precedes the seen. The assumption precedes the fact. The millionaire does not become wealthy and then assume abundance. He assumes abundance first, and wealth follows. Right now, in this moment, you have the power to shift everything. If you would stop looking at the world for proof and instead look within, you would find the source of all financial success. Ask yourself, who would I be if I were already wealthy? How would I think? How would I feel? What decisions would I make? And then assume that version of yourself now. Embody it fully. Let it become your dominant state of being. You do not need to know how it will happen. The means will present themselves in ways you cannot predict. You only need to assume, to persist, and to trust that what you have claimed in consciousness must manifest in form. This is the law. This is the key. Your financial freedom is already yours. If only you will assume it. Wealth is not something you pursue, it is something you become. The greatest misconception in the world today is the belief that success is the result of external factors, hard work, luck, the right opportunities. But I tell you, wealth is not found outside of you, it is a state of consciousness. And until you assume that state within, it can never appear in your external world. Look around, and you will see that every man and woman is simply living out the assumptions they have accepted as true. The rich live in the consciousness of wealth, and so wealth flows effortlessly to them. The poor, though they may desire riches, remain poor because they unknowingly hold on to the identity of lack. They seek wealth while continuing to see themselves as those who struggle for money, and thus they remain trapped in a cycle that never breaks. To change your financial reality, you must first change your inner reality. You must not merely desire to be a millionaire, you must become one in consciousness first. The moment you truly accept wealth as your reality, the world must shift to match it. Your outer life is simply the mirror of your inner state. If you would see different results, you must first see yourself differently. Many believe they must first accumulate money before they can feel wealthy, but this is the great illusion. The feeling of wealth must come first, for it is the cause. The money, the opportunities, the circumstances, these are only effects. If you attempt to chase the effect while ignoring the cause, you will find yourself running in circles, always reaching but never attaining. But if you would first embody the consciousness of wealth, the world would move to bring that wealth to you effortlessly. Ask yourself now, how would you think, how would you feel if you were already a millionaire? What would occupy your mind? Would you worry about bills? Would you doubt your ability to create wealth? No, you would move with certainty, with confidence, with ease. You would see abundance everywhere, for you would know that money is simply a tool, not something to be feared or chased. You would trust that opportunities flow to you naturally because you are aligned with the state of wealth. This is the transformation that must take place within you. You must detach from the illusion of lack and step into the assumption of abundance. It is not enough to say, I want to be rich. You must say, I am rich, and feel it as a deep, unshakable truth. You must walk as though the millions are already yours, not because you are pretending, but because you understand that assumption creates reality. Most people fail because they allow their senses to deceive them. They look at their current bank balance, at their debts, at their financial struggles, and they accept these things as their truth. They assume that because they see lack now, lack must continue. But this is the mistake that keeps them bound. What is seen now is only the outpicturing of past assumptions. If you would change your assumption today, the future must change to reflect it. You are not bound by what is. You are only bound by what you believe to be true. If you would believe differently, if you would persist in the assumption of wealth even when the world denies it, then you would find that your reality has no choice but to shift. The world is a servant to your consciousness, not the other way around. When you truly assume the consciousness of a millionaire, you will find that your actions naturally align with that state. You will no longer make decisions from a place of fear or scarcity. You will see opportunities where before you saw obstacles. You will take inspired action, not because you are forcing yourself to do so, but because action becomes effortless when it flows from an assumed state of being. The struggle disappears because you are no longer trying to become rich. You already are. And the world simply moves to confirm what you have assumed. You do not need to know how it will happen. That is not your concern. The means will appear in ways you cannot predict. The right ideas, the right people, the right circumstances, all of these will come into your experience in perfect order. Your only work is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and to persist in that assumption no matter what. The moment you claim wealth in consciousness, it is already done. It is only a matter of time before reality bends to your assumption. You have always been the creator of your financial reality. The only question is, what have you been creating? If you would change your experience, you must first change yourself. The millionaire you seek to become already exists within you. Assume that identity now, and the world will move to make it so. If you truly wish to experience money, success, and abundance are not created through effort alone, nor are they granted by chance. They are the result of a state of consciousness, a way of being that exists within you before it is ever seen by the world. Wealth is not something you chase, it is something you become. The greatest illusion of mankind is the belief that external circumstances control life. People look at their bank accounts, at their debts, at their surroundings, and they allow these things to dictate how they feel. They say, I will feel abundant when I have money. I will feel successful when I achieve my goals. But they do not realize they have reversed the order of creation. It is not the outer world that dictates your inner state. It is your inner state that determines what the outer world must reflect. Every great fortune began in the unseen, not in numbers, not in business strategies, not in labor, but in consciousness. The millionaire does not become rich and then assume abundance. He assumes abundance first, and riches follow. The one who remains in poverty does not suffer because of the world, but because of the beliefs he carries within. His assumption of struggle and limitation binds him to that very experience. If you would change your financial destiny, you must first change your assumption of yourself. You must become the millionaire in mind before it ever appears in form. You must walk in the certainty that wealth is already yours, that abundance is your birthright, that financial freedom is a state you occupy now, not in some distant future. It is not enough to hope for riches. Hope implies uncertainty. It is not enough to wish for success. Wishing only acknowledges that you do not yet have. You must claim it. You must assume it as a fact now and persist in that assumption until it becomes visible. Your imagination is the tool by which you step into this new reality. If you were already a millionaire, how would you think? How would you feel? How would you carry yourself? What thoughts would occupy your mind? What kind of decisions would you make? Most people continue to think as their current selves, looking at life through the lens of their present circumstances, and so they remain trapped in the same cycle. But the one who understands this great truth thinks from the place they wish to be, not from where they are. Right now, close your eyes and imagine that your financial dreams have already come true. Feel the certainty, the peace, the confidence that comes with knowing that money flows to you effortlessly. Picture yourself living the life you desire, free from limitation, free from struggle. Do not see it as something separate from you. See it as your reality now. Occupy that state and refuse to leave it. The world is a mirror, faithfully reflecting the assumptions you hold about yourself. If you assume wealth, the world must conform. If you assume struggle, then struggle will follow. It does not matter what logic says. It does not matter what others believe. The only thing that matters is the state you persist in. Most people sabotage their own wealth because they refuse to let go of the identity they have built around lack. They say they want riches, yet they continue to identify as someone who struggles. They speak of their limitations. They dwell on their problems. They react to the world as if it is fixed and unchangeable. But if they would only step into the assumption of wealth fully and completely, they would see reality transform before their eyes. You may ask, but how would it happen? That is not your concern. The how is not yours to decide. Life will arrange itself in ways you cannot predict. The right people, the right opportunities, the right circumstances will emerge at exactly the right time. All you must do is hold the state of being wealthy, unwavering in your assumption. Think back to every success you have ever had, no matter how small. Before it became real, did you not already believe in it? Did you not already see it in your mind's eye before it happened? Every achievement, Every breakthrough, every moment of prosperity first existed within you before it became external fact. This is the truth of all creation. What you assume yourself to be, you must become. If you desire wealth, you must make it your dwelling place. Not a fleeting thought, not a passing wish, but a deep, abiding certainty. You must refuse to accept anything less than the reality of abundance. If doubts arise, you do not entertain them. If the world tries to contradict your assumption, you do not waver. You persist, knowing that assumption hardens into fact. Everything you seek is already yours, waiting for you to claim it. The only question is, are you willing to step into that new state now? Will you dare to see yourself as already wealthy? Will you boldly assume the feeling of financial freedom, regardless of what your senses tell you? If so, then the world will move, mountains will shift, and riches will come to you. Not as something you struggled for, but as something that was always yours. Wealth is not something to be found, nor is it something that must be earned through hardship and struggle. It is something that is created, and the tool of creation is within you. The secret to financial success has never been in the world outside of you. It is not in the economy, not in opportunities, not in circumstances. It is in the power of your imagination. For imagination is the blueprint from which all things are formed. Most people believe that money is the result of labor, that success comes only to those who work tirelessly. But if this were true, then the hardest working people in the world would be the richest. Look around, and you will see that this is not the case. Some who work the least enjoy endless abundance, while others who labor from dawn to dusk remain trapped in limitation. The difference is not in their effort, it is in their imagination. Imagination is not a fantasy. It is not an escape from reality. It is reality. For everything you see in the world today was first imagined. The buildings, the industries, the fortunes, they did not come from chance. They came from a mind that dared to see beyond what the senses revealed. They came from individuals who understood that what is seen is only a reflection of what is first conceived within. The one who imagines himself wealthy, who sees and feels himself in possession of riches before any physical evidence appears, is the one who will inevitably experience it. The one who waits to see proof before believing in abundance will forever remain a prisoner of his present condition. The world is simply a reflection of what you have accepted in imagination. If you would change your life, you must first change what you see within. When you close your eyes and picture yourself as already successful, already financially free, you are not engaging in idle dreaming. You are laying the foundation of your future. Your imagination is the preview of what is to come, but most people misuse this divine power. They imagine failure, they imagine obstacles, they imagine lack, and then they are surprised when life reflects these very things back to them. They do not realize that every moment spent dwelling on limitation is a moment spent creating more of it. You must take control of your imagination. You must refuse to entertain any thought that contradicts the wealth you desire. Do not imagine what you fear, imagine what you want. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, if you see yourself as someone who is always chasing money but never catching it, then you will continue to live that story. But the moment you assume a new vision of yourself, the moment you dare to see yourself as already abundant, you set in motion forces that will bring that vision into reality. Right now, at this very moment, you have the power to rewrite your financial destiny. Close your eyes and see yourself living in the abundance you desire. Do not watch it as if it is a distant dream. Step into it as though it is happening now. Feel the weight of the money in your hands. Hear the sound of financial freedom in your voice. Walk in the confidence of one who has already arrived. The world may tell you it is not real yet, but the world is only echoing past assumptions. Persist in the vision, and the world will conform. Most people sabotage their wealth because they allow doubt to creep into their imagination. They envision riches for a moment, but then they let fear take over. They question how it will happen, when it will happen, and whether it is even possible. And so, they undo the very work they have done in imagination. They waver between faith and doubt, between wealth and lack, and they wonder why their reality remains unchanged. But the one who assumes the feeling of the wish fulfilled and does not let go, he is the one who will experience it. The means by which your wealth will come are not your concern. Your only work is to imagine it fully, vividly, and consistently until it becomes your dominant reality. You will be led to the right opportunities. You will be inspired to take action in ways you cannot predict. Doors will open where there were once walls, and circumstances will shift in ways that seem impossible to the logical mind. But nothing is impossible to the one who lives in the certainty of imagination. The greatest fortunes in history were not built by those who waited for proof. They were built by those who saw the unseen, believed in the invisible, and persisted until it became visible. This same power is within you. There is no difference between you and the wealthiest individuals in the world, except for one thing: how you use your imagination. You are always imagining something. The question is, are you imagining wealth, or are you imagining lack? Are you seeing yourself as a millionaire, or are you seeing yourself as someone who struggles? Whatever you accept in imagination, life must reflect. If you would experience riches, then you must first see yourself as rich. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Assume the feeling of abundance. Persist in it, and the world will move to make it so. Everything you see in this world, everything you have ever experienced, and everything you will ever attain is the result of assumption. The great secret to wealth, success, and abundance is not in effort alone, nor is it in luck or chance. It is found in the persistence of assumption. For what you persist in assuming, you must inevitably experience. Most people make the mistake of allowing the outer world to dictate their beliefs. They look at their bank account, at their circumstances, at their past failures, and they allow these things to define their financial destiny. They say, I will believe I am wealthy when I see proof of wealth. But this is a reversal of the law of creation. The proof does not come first. The assumption does. If you would be rich, you must assume riches now and persist in that assumption until it hardens into fact. You have already seen this principle at work in your life. Think back to moments where you expected something to happen, whether it was good or bad, and it came to pass. Perhaps you worried about a certain outcome, and your fears were realized. Or perhaps you anticipated success with unwavering certainty, and it unfolded exactly as you had imagined. You may have called it coincidence, but there is no coincidence in creation. The outer world only echoes what is assumed within. You have been given the ability to assume any state of being. Right now, you can assume yourself to be a millionaire, to be financially free, to be living in endless abundance. And if you persist in that assumption, refusing to be swayed by the illusions of the senses, then that assumption must become your reality. The mistake most people make is that they assume wealth for a moment, only to abandon it when doubt arises. They let the lack of immediate physical proof shake their faith, and so they return to their old patterns of thought, reinforcing the very reality they wish to escape. To create lasting wealth, you must hold on to the feeling of financial freedom as if it were already yours. You must refuse to accept anything less. It is not enough to entertain the idea of wealth temporarily. It must become the foundation of your being. Do not look to the world for validation. The world is simply a reflection of past assumptions. If you persist in a new assumption today, the world must reshape itself to fit that new belief. You will be tested. There will be moments when the senses will contradict your assumption. You may face temporary setbacks, unexpected challenges, or moments where reality seems unchanged. But these are nothing more than shadows of the past trying to hold on. If you react to them, if you allow them to shake your belief, then you are affirming the old state and keeping it alive. But if you persist, if you hold fast to the assumption of wealth no matter what, then the old reality must dissolve and the new reality must take its place. Most people fail because they give up too soon. They assume wealth for a day, a week, or a month, and when nothing seems to change, they declare that it does not work. But it is not that the principle has failed, it is that they have not persisted. The greatest fortunes were not built overnight, but they were built first in the mind, held there unwaveringly until the world had no choice but to conform. If you would see evidence of your wealth, you must first believe it without evidence. If you would experience riches, you must first claim them in consciousness. The assumption comes first, the manifestation follows. This is the order of creation, and it cannot be reversed. Right now, assume yourself to be in possession of great wealth. Feel the joy of financial freedom. Walk with the confidence of one who has already received. Speak and think as if money flows to you effortlessly. Dwell in the certainty that your assumption is already a reality, even if the world has not yet caught up. Persist, and it must harden into fact. You are the operant power. You are not at the mercy of fate or chance. The only question is, will you persist in the assumption of wealth, or will you waver? If you remain faithful to your vision, if you hold it as true in your imagination, then nothing in this world can stop it from becoming real. Wealth is not something outside of you. It is a state of being that you claim now and forever. Wealth is not something you acquire. It is something you become. The money, the success, the freedom you desire are not things separate from you, waiting to be obtained through struggle or effort. They are simply reflections of your inner state, the outer manifestations of the assumptions you carry within. If you would experience riches in this world, you must first feel yourself to be wealthy before any physical evidence appears. The great mistake humanity makes is believing that feelings must be a response to circumstances. People look at their empty bank accounts, their unfulfilled desires, and they say, "How can I feel wealthy when I have no money? How can I feel free when I am bound by limitation?" But this is the great illusion. The truth is the opposite. Your feelings do not come from circumstances. Your circumstances come from your feelings. If you would change your reality, you must first change what you feel to be true. The law is simple. Assumption, when persisted in, becomes fact. But assumption is not merely an intellectual idea. It is a feeling. To assume wealth is not to say, "I will be rich someday." That is merely wishing, and wishing acknowledges lack. To assume wealth is to feel right now the same way you would feel if money were already abundant in your life. If your fortune were already secured, if financial freedom were already yours, how would you feel? What confidence would you walk with? What certainty would you carry? This is the state you must dwell in. Most people remain in poverty because they allow their emotions to be dictated by what they see. They look at their bills, their debts, their struggles, and they feel frustration, fear, and doubt. And because they feel these things, they perpetuate them. They do not realize that the cycle is of their own making. The outer world is only responding to what they persistently feel. If they would dare to feel differently, to step into the certainty of abundance before any evidence appears, their entire financial reality would shift. Right now, close your eyes and imagine your wealth is already achieved. Do not think of it as a distant possibility. Step into it as a present reality. Feel the ease, the peace, the confidence of one who has unlimited financial freedom. Let that feeling sink deep into your being, so deeply that it becomes natural to you. Do not allow doubts to enter. Do not look to the world for confirmation, for the world will always reflect what you previously assumed. Persist, and the world must change. People often ask, "How will the money come? What must I do?" But the means are not your concern. Your only responsibility is to assume the feeling of wealth, to dwell in the state of already having. Life itself will arrange the details. Opportunities will arise, ideas will come, circumstances will shift. But all of this will only happen after you have first established the feeling within. To seek proof before you feel it is to work against the law of creation. There are those who will say, but this is not practical. How can I feel something that is not yet real? But I tell you, this is the only practical way to create lasting wealth. Every fortune ever built, every great success ever achieved, began first in the unseen, held in imagination, persisted in with feeling, and then made manifest. The one who demands to see proof before believing will forever be a slave to circumstance. The one who dares to feel the truth of his wealth before it appears will shape the world to his vision. Look at your life right now, and you will see evidence of your past feelings and assumptions. If you have struggled, it is because you have assumed struggle to be real. If you have lacked, it is because you have identified with lack. But this need not continue. Right now, you can assume a new feeling, one of total abundance, and if you persist in it, your world must conform. The world is not separate from you. It is not something happening to you. It is responding to you. And what it responds to is not your words nor your wishes, but your deepest felt state. Feel rich, and riches must come. Feel free, and freedom must follow. The law is absolute. Every moment you are choosing what to feel, and therefore what to create. Will you continue to feel lack, limitation, and doubt? Or will you dare to assume the feeling of boundless wealth, even before your senses confirm it? If you can feel it now, without needing proof, then no force in this world can stop it from becoming your reality. Feel it, persist in it, and watch as the world reshapes itself to reflect your assumption. You now understand the great secret that has been hidden in plain sight. Wealth is not something you chase. It is something you assume. It is not the result of effort alone, but of a state of being that you claim within. The riches you desire, the financial freedom you seek, the success you long for, they are already yours. The moment you dare to accept them in imagination, you are not a victim of circumstance. You are not bound by past failures or external conditions. You are the creator of your reality. The only question is, will you use this power consciously? Or will you allow the world to dictate your fate? If you assume wealth now, if you feel it is real, if you persist in that assumption without wavering, then nothing in this world can stop it from materializing. You do not need to know how it will happen. That is not your concern. Life itself will arrange the details. The right opportunities, the right people, the right ideas, all will come to you, but only after you have first assumed the state of already having. This is the law, and it cannot fail. Right now, claim your wealth, not in the future, not when conditions improve, but now. Feel the certainty of financial freedom, the ease of unlimited abundance. Let that feeling become natural to you, and persist in it no matter what the outer world appears to show. If you do this, then you will see for yourself what has always been true. You are already rich, already successful, already abundant. Because the world can only reflect what you first assume within.